Imagine a crisis hits. One professional shuts their door and pulls the blinds. Another waves colleagues into a glass conference room to collaborate. To the person behind the closed door, the group in the conference room looks like a panicked committee wasting time. To those in the meeting, that closed door signals an arrogant colleague refusing to be a team player. While this disconnect is often dismissed as a simple personality quirk or a standard age gap, those labels miss the true nature of the conflict. These opposing communication styles are the direct result of childhood environments, specifically the presence or the total absence of continuous affirmation. Failing to decode this psychological root cause creates a persistent friction that stalls productivity and complicates leadership across every level of the organization. In the 1970s and 1980s, the environment for an entire generation was defined by economic instability, high divorce rates, and a pervasive low-level Cold War anxiety. This chart tracks the unprecedented scale of the latchkey children phenomenon. Millions of children returned to empty homes after school, managing themselves for hours without any adult supervision. Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner described these as high-contingency environments, a setting where an individual learns to navigate immediate real-world consequences without any external guidance. Surviving this zero-applause environment biologically conditioned Gen X to develop extreme emotional self-reliance. They built a silent resilience that functions entirely without outside input. This isolation also triggered a psychological strategy known as defensive pessimism. Defensive pessimism is an adaptive coping mechanism where a person anticipates negative outcomes so they can actively prepare for potential failure. Because of this conditioning, Gen X prioritizes strict authenticity. They view external validation and continuous praise with deep inherent suspicion. This trademark cynicism evolved as a successful survival mechanism, specifically designed for an environment where no safety nets existed. Contrast that with the 1990s and 2000s, the upbringing of millennials. Their childhood existed within a highly structured, hyper-supervised ecosystem. Affirmation-based parenting combined with the arrival of continuous digital feedback loops to create a world of constant, immediate response. This environment conditioned millennials to view open dialogue, emotional expression, and group consensus as their baseline for psychological safety. When these two generations meet in the modern workplace, their friction manifests across 4 distinct psychological battlegrounds. The top half shows the conflict between the Gen X instinct for independent action and the millennial drive for interdependence. Beside that is the clash between pragmatically fixing broken systems versus the idealistic drive to redesign them entirely. The bottom half tracks the tension between Gen X's skepticism of institutions and the millennial drive for institutional reform, along with the conflict between burying emotions versus verbally processing them. These daily tensions represent 2 entirely different survival scripts running simultaneously in the same room. These childhood foundations directly dictate how both groups lead today. Gen X leaders often grant extreme autonomy to their teams as a sign of trust. Millennials often misinterpret this hands-off approach as emotional neglect. Millennial leaders prioritize hyper-connected check-ins as a sign of support. Gen X often misinterprets this clarity as suffocating micromanagement. However, a hidden synergy exists here. The pragmatism and defensive pessimism of Gen X perfectly ground and operationalized millennial idealism. Conversely, millennial collaborative energy and vocal vulnerability prevent Gen X from retreating into total isolation or unproductive cynicism. Gen X was conditioned to survive the shadows. Millennials were conditioned to illuminate them. By combining these psychologies, they form the complete spectrum of modern organizational resilience.